Imagine a civilization so rich and powerful that its trade routes spanned 3 continents, and its marketplaces were overflowing with gold, spices, and exotic goods. This was ancient Rome, the heartbeat of trade, commerce, and wealth in the ancient world. But how did Rome's economy grow so strong, and what secrets made its trade networks legendary? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Roman economy and trade. The Roman economy was built on agriculture, which formed the backbone of its wealth. Small farms produced grain, olives, and wine, while large estates called latifundia employed thousands of workers. Grain was not only food but also a political tool, with the government distributing it to appease citizens in the city of Rome. Olive oil and wine became staples of Roman life and important exports to other regions. Livestock farming, including cattle, sheep, and pigs, supported both local consumption and trade. Markets in Rome were vibrant centers where farmers, merchants, and consumers met daily. The Roman economy also relied heavily on slaves, who worked in fields, mines, and workshops. Slavery provided cheap labor that fueled agricultural production and manufacturing. Artisans crafted goods such as pottery, glassware, and textiles that were sold locally and abroad. Roman engineers built roads, aqueducts, and ports that connected the economy across vast distances. Coins became a universal medium, simplifying trade and enabling long-distance commerce. Trade was essential for Rome, linking cities, provinces, and foreign lands. Roman merchants traded wine, olive oil, pottery, and luxury items such as silk and spices. The Mediterranean Sea was the central highway of trade, called by Romans Mare Nostrum, meaning our sea. Roman ships sailed from Egypt to Spain, transporting grain, wine, and other commodities. Ports like Ostia, Puteoli, and Alexandria became hubs of international commerce. Rome imported exotic goods like Indian spices, Chinese silk, and African ivory. Roman roads allowed goods to travel quickly from farms and mines to cities. Inns, warehouses, and markets flourished along these roads, supporting trade infrastructure. Trade was not limited to necessities. Luxury goods reflected status and wealth in Roman society. Merchants often formed partnerships and associations, sharing risks and profits. Roman coins such as the denarius and aureus became the backbone of trade. Coins were minted with images of emperors, deities, and symbols of power. Currency enabled both local and international trade, replacing barter systems. Banks emerged in Rome to provide loans, manage deposits, and facilitate transactions. Moneylenders were common in cities, often helping merchants fund long-distance trade. Wealthy citizens invested in trade ventures, sharing profits with risk-taking merchants. Trade disputes were resolved by Roman law, which guaranteed fairness in contracts. Taxes funded the army, infrastructure, and public projects, which in turn supported the economy. Rome's stable currency and legal system encouraged merchants to expand operations. Banking and finance allowed Rome to become a global economic powerhouse. Rome's countryside produced vast amounts of grain, particularly from Egypt and Sicily. Grain imports fed the growing population of the capital, which exceeded 1 million people. Markets were lively places with shouting vendors, bargaining customers, and diverse goods. Olive oil was transported in amphorae to cities and foreign markets. Wine, a central Roman commodity, was traded extensively across Europe and the Mediterranean. Fish, salt, and preserved foods were shipped long distances to meet demand. Slaves and laborers worked tirelessly to harvest, transport, and package these goods. Roman law regulated weights, measures, and quality in marketplaces to prevent fraud. Urban markets in Rome, such as the Forum Boarium and Forum Holitorium, were bustling trade centers. Markets were social hubs where news, politics, and gossip spread alongside commerce. Rome's trade extended far beyond Europe, reaching Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Spices, silk, gems, and incense traveled through complex trade networks to Rome. Roman elites displayed wealth by decorating homes with imported luxury items. Exotic animals were imported for entertainment in games and spectacles. Trade with India brought pepper, gemstones, and fine textiles. Egyptian trade supplied grain and papyrus for writing and record keeping. African trade provided ivory, gold, and rare animals for Roman markets. Roman merchants often faced long, perilous journeys by sea and land. Pirates and bandits threatened trade routes, but Rome's navy and military ensured security. Trade allowed Rome to project power and wealth across the known world. Roman manufacturing and industry. Beyond agriculture, Roman industry played a key role in wealth creation. Roman workshops produced pottery, glassware, textiles, and metal tools for daily use. Skilled artisans often worked in guilds, maintaining quality and sharing knowledge. Mining was a major industry, producing gold, silver, iron, and copper for trade and coins. Lead and tin were also extracted for plumbing, construction, and weaponry. Roman engineers designed mills powered by water, increasing grain processing efficiency. Brick and concrete production fueled construction in cities and colonies. Shipbuilding industries thrived in port cities like Ostia and Alexandria. Weapons, armor, and military equipment were manufactured both for soldiers and trade. Luxury goods, including jewelry and fine clothing, reflected the wealth of Rome's elites. These industries depended on both free workers and slave labor for production. Workshops were often located near cities, ports, and major trade routes for easy distribution. Roman artisans innovated techniques in glassblowing, mosaics, and pottery decoration. Local products were sometimes exported, while imported goods inspired new Roman styles. Manufacturing was closely tied to trade, connecting cities, provinces, and foreign markets. Commerce in the Roman provinces. Rome's provinces were critical to the empire's economic engine. Provinces supplied raw materials, agricultural produce, and manpower for trade. Egypt, called the breadbasket of Rome, exported massive quantities of grain. Gaul and Hispania supplied wine, olive oil, and minerals to Rome and other provinces. Britain was known for tin, lead, and hunting animals for amphitheaters. North Africa provided gold, exotic animals, and ivory for Roman markets. Asia Minor offered textiles, timber, and luxury items for Roman elites. Local markets and provinces mirrored Rome's marketplaces, fostering regional commerce. Roads and aqueducts connected towns, enabling rapid transportation of goods. Roman taxation ensured that provinces contributed to the empire's wealth. Provincial governors monitored trade, collected taxes, and enforced trade laws. Trade within provinces encouraged economic specialization and technological innovation. Urban centers and provinces became hubs of production and trade. Roman coins circulated widely, uniting the empire under a common economic system. Commerce in the provinces helped Rome maintain political and military power. Trade regulations, taxes, and economic policies. Roman law regulated commerce, protecting merchants and consumers alike. Standards for weights and measures prevented fraud in markets. Import and export taxes, called portoria, funded the government and army. Customs duties applied at ports like Ostia ensured Rome profited from trade. Market inspectors, known as aediles, monitored prices, quality, and fairness. Special laws controlled grain supply to prevent famine and unrest. Taxes and duties incentivized merchants to engage in lawful trade. Rome also encouraged long-distance trade to acquire luxury goods for elites. Trade contracts were enforced by courts, creating trust between buyers and sellers. Regulations helped prevent monopolies while encouraging competition. Policies like the annona system distributed grain to Rome's population. Government investment in roads, ports, and security reduced the risk for traders. Rome's economic policies balanced public welfare with private profit. These policies ensured the stability and longevity of the empire's economy. Roman governance transformed trade from a local activity to a global network. Role of slavery in the economy. Slavery was central to Rome's economic system. Slaves worked in fields, mines, workshops, and households. Large estates or latifundia relied heavily on slave labor for agricultural production. Skilled slaves, including artisans and teachers, contributed to manufacturing and education. Slave labor reduced costs, making Roman goods competitive in markets. Prisoners of war often became slaves, fueling the workforce across the empire. Slaves were traded in markets, sometimes across provinces, similar to commodities. Urban slaves worked in shops, baths, and public offices, supporting city economies. Despite harsh conditions, some slaves could earn freedom and gain economic opportunities. Slavery allowed Rome to maintain high levels of production and export goods. The reliance on slaves also shaped social hierarchies and political structures. Slave revolts occasionally disrupted local economies and forced reforms. Roman authors and historians documented the economic importance of slavery. Slavery enabled the empire to sustain large-scale infrastructure projects. Ultimately, slave labor was inseparable from Rome's economic expansion and trade. Decline and transformation of Roman economy. Despite its strength, Rome's economy faced significant challenges over time. Political instability disrupted trade and confidence in markets. Inflation, caused by debasement of coins, weakened currency value. Over-reliance on slave labor slowed technological innovation. Barbarian invasions interrupted trade routes and destroyed productive regions. Provinces sometimes rebelled, reducing the flow of goods to Rome. Heavy taxation burdened citizens and discouraged economic activity. Urban decline led to shrinking markets and fewer consumers in cities. Some regions shifted to local self-sufficiency, reducing long-distance trade. Yet, trade continued in pockets, especially in the Eastern Empire. Roman roads and ports remained vital even as central control weakened. Merchants adapted, finding new trade networks and partners. The economy gradually transformed from a centralized empire to regional hubs. Despite decline, Rome's trade practices influenced future European economies. Lessons from Rome's economic rise and fall continue to fascinate historians today. Rome relied heavily on maritime trade to connect its vast empire. Ships transported grain, wine, olive oil, and luxury goods across the Mediterranean. Ports like Ostia and Puteoli handled thousands of tons of cargo annually. Roman shipbuilders designed vessels capable of carrying both bulk goods and delicate items. Sailing was risky due to storms, pirates, and navigational challenges. To protect trade, Rome maintained a powerful navy to patrol key sea routes. Maritime trade allowed Rome to import exotic goods from India, Africa, and the Middle East. Amphorae were used to transport liquids like wine and oil safely. Shipping contracts ensured merchants received payment for goods upon delivery. Coastal towns developed warehouses and marketplaces to support maritime commerce. Ports became centers of cultural exchange as merchants from different regions met. Maritime trade increased demand for sailors, dock workers, and shipwrights. Trade networks linked the Mediterranean with inland cities through rivers and roads. Rome's control of the seas enabled economic dominance over rival civilizations. The efficiency of maritime trade contributed to the empire's long-lasting wealth. Merchant culture in Rome. Roman merchants were respected for their wealth, but often looked down upon socially. Merchants traded locally and internationally, building networks across the empire. They invested in caravans, ships, and warehouses to expand their operations. Wealthy merchants could influence politics by funding public works and games. Trade guilds provided support, shared knowledge, and protected members' interests. Merchants used contracts and legal agreements to manage long-distance trade. Some merchants became extremely wealthy, rivaling the traditional Roman aristocracy. Luxury goods such as silk, spices, and jewelry were central to merchant profit. Merchant families often passed their businesses to the next generation. Despite social stigma, commerce offered opportunities for social mobility and influence. Merchants played a key role in distributing goods from provinces to urban centers. They adapted quickly to changing market demands and political instability. Roman merchants were the backbone of the empire's economy, connecting diverse regions. Merchant culture shaped urban life, festivals, and marketplaces in cities across the empire. Through commerce, Roman merchants helped spread culture, technology, and ideas. The Roman elite demanded luxury goods to display wealth and status. Exotic imports included silk from China, spices from India, and gems from Africa. Furniture, fine pottery, and glassware adorned the homes of wealthy citizens. Roman elites competed to host lavish feasts using imported foods and wines. Demand for luxury goods encouraged long-distance trade and maritime investment. Merchants specialized in high-value items to maximize profits. Trade in luxury goods created economic opportunities for artisans and producers. Imported animals, like peacocks and lions, entertained audiences in amphitheaters. Jewelry and fashion items reflected trends in Roman society and culture. Consumer demand helped integrate distant regions into a single economic system. Wealthy citizens often loaned money to merchants to secure rare goods. Luxury trade strengthened Rome's ties with foreign kingdoms and empires. The desire for status-driven goods influenced prices and trade policies. Demand for exotic products sometimes caused price inflation in markets. Luxury trade not only enriched merchants but also strengthened Rome's global influence. Roman banking and credit systems banking emerged as a critical component of Roman commerce. Argentieri or bankers facilitated loans, deposits, and money transfers. Wealthy merchants relied on credit to fund long-distance trade ventures. Letters of credit and promissory notes were common in commercial transactions. Banks charged interest, sometimes generating enormous profits. Credit systems reduced the need for carrying large sums of coin during travel. Roman courts enforced repayment agreements in commercial contracts. Banking helped finance large projects like shipbuilding, aqueducts, and roads. Merchants often pooled resources to share the risks of expensive trade journeys. Banking allowed the empire to manage taxes, tribute, and public expenditure. Moneylenders often lent to provinces, ensuring supply of currency in regional markets. Banking systems linked distant regions, enabling integrated economic networks. Credit and loans facilitated economic growth even during periods of instability. Rome's banking culture was a model for later European financial systems. The efficiency of Roman banking contributed to the empire's economic dominance. Coinage, inflation, and economic crises. Rome minted coins in gold, silver, and bronze to standardize trade. Coins bore the emperor's image, symbolizing state authority and trust. Currency facilitated trade across regions, replacing barter and local tokens. Over time, debasement of coins caused inflation and decreased trust in currency. Economic crises disrupted trade and reduced government revenue. Grain shortages and rising prices sometimes led to civil unrest. Rome relied on taxation, trade tariffs, and wealth redistribution to stabilize the economy. Merchants and consumers adjusted to price fluctuations by seeking alternative goods. Inflation prompted reform attempts by emperors, with varying success. Despite crises, Rome's complex economic network often recovered quickly. Coinage allowed the empire to pay soldiers, fund infrastructure, and maintain trade. Economic instability sometimes accelerated technological innovation in production and transport. Currency and trade management remained central to Rome's longevity. Lessons from Roman inflation influenced modern economic thought. Even during crises, trade continued, showing the resilience of the Roman economy. Regional production specialties. Different regions of the Roman Empire specialized in unique products that fueled trade. Egypt was renowned for its fertile grain fields, providing food security to Rome. Gaul produced fine wines, high-quality pottery, and iron tools for local and export markets. Hispania was known for olive oil, minerals, and skilled artisans. Britain supplied tin, lead, and wool, which were highly valued in continental markets. North Africa exported gold, ivory, exotic animals, and fish products. Asia Minor contributed textiles, timber, and spices to the empire's markets. Italy itself produced olive oil, wine, ceramics, and marble for construction. Each region's specialization created interdependence, encouraging trade networks. Roman merchants traveled thousands of miles to acquire these goods for urban consumption. Provincial markets mirrored Rome's city markets, maintaining local economies. Trade allowed regions to prosper while feeding the population of the capital. Local craftsmen often adapted foreign techniques to create new products. Regional trade fostered cultural exchange, spreading Roman technology and ideas. By connecting specialties with demand, Rome created a highly integrated economy. Roads, logistics, and supply chains. Rome's famous roads were vital to the efficiency of trade and logistics. Stone-paved highways stretched thousands of miles across the empire. The Via Appia, called the Queen of Roads, connected Rome to southern Italy. Roads allowed merchants, soldiers, and officials to travel quickly and safely. Inns, warehouses, and staging posts supported trade along these routes. Goods were transported by carts, pack animals, and human carriers. Rivers and canals complemented roads, providing efficient bulk transport. Supply chains ensured that food, raw materials, and manufactured goods reached cities. Military logistics often overlapped with commercial routes, securing safe passage. Ports, docks, and river quays were critical hubs for loading and unloading cargo. The government invested in infrastructure to support both commerce and military mobility. Trade networks relied on accurate scheduling and inventory management. Roman engineers built bridges, tunnels, and aqueducts to maintain reliable transport. Roads linked provincial production centers to Rome, markets, and ports. This infrastructure created an interconnected empire capable of sustained economic growth. Markets, fairs, and centers of commerce. Roman markets were vibrant centers of daily life, culture, and trade. The Forum Romanum hosted merchants selling goods ranging from food to luxury items. Marketplaces included open-air stalls, permanent shops, and covered colonnades. Vendors called out to attract customers, creating a lively and bustling atmosphere. Fairs occurred periodically, attracting merchants and buyers from distant regions. Markets facilitated the exchange of not only goods but also ideas and news. Slaves and laborers supported market operations, from transporting goods to maintaining order. Market regulations ensured fair pricing, quality control, and honest weights. Rome's markets inspired similar trade hubs in provincial cities. Luxury and everyday goods were displayed side by side, appealing to all social classes. Markets acted as social centers where citizens, foreigners, and traders interacted. Public notice boards displayed prices, announcements, and regulations. Religious and civic festivals often coincided with market activities, boosting commerce. Markets in Rome reflected the complexity and scale of the empire's economy. Through markets and fairs, trade became an integral part of Roman life and culture. Trade's impact on Roman culture, politics, and military trade influenced Roman culture, spreading art, language, and technology across the empire. Imported luxury goods shaped elite tastes in fashion, architecture, and cuisine. Merchants often funded public buildings, temples, and entertainment to gain prestige. Trade wealth increased the power of merchants and urban elites. Political leaders relied on economic stability to maintain authority and public support. Grain distributions and market control were used to appease citizens and prevent unrest. Military campaigns were funded by taxes and spoils of trade wealth. Supply chains supported armies, allowing Rome to expand and defend its territories. Trade enabled Rome to maintain diplomatic relationships with foreign kingdoms. Cultural exchange through commerce helped spread Roman law, religion, and language. Cities became cosmopolitan hubs where traders, soldiers, and scholars mingled. Trade networks connected the Mediterranean, Europe, Africa, and Asia in one economic system. Economic prosperity reinforced Rome's military and political dominance. Trade was not only a source of wealth but also a tool of power and influence. The integration of economy, culture, and politics ensured Rome's empire remained cohesive for centuries. Legacy of the Roman economy. The Roman economy left a lasting impact on future civilizations. Roads, ports, and trade networks inspired medieval and modern infrastructure. Banking, credit systems, and coinage influenced later European financial practices. Concepts of market regulation, taxation, and supply chains were learned from Roman methods. Luxury trade set precedents for global commerce in later centuries. Roman emphasis on integration and connectivity influenced modern economic policy. Provinces' specialization demonstrated the benefits of regional economic cooperation. Rome's management of trade and infrastructure showed the importance of government in commerce. Lessons from inflation, taxation, and currency management inform modern economies. Rome's blend of agriculture, manufacturing, and trade created a resilient system. Maritime and land-based logistics provided a model for global commerce. The economic strategies of Rome continue to be studied by historians and economists. Even after the fall of the Western Empire, trade persisted, maintaining cultural and economic continuity. The Roman economy was a foundation for the prosperity of Europe in later centuries. Understanding Roman trade and economy reveals the genius and complexity of the ancient world. Rome's story shows how commerce, culture, and politics can shape civilizations for millennia.